Welcome to the Footy Show Daily. Me and Andy chatting about the Young Player of the Year. Obviously, last week, Jordan Henderson was voted the Player of the Year. We had a chat about that, whether we agreed, disagreed. We both disagreed. It should have been Kevin De Bruyne. But there's a chat going on about the Young Player of the Year. This is what the lads have been saying about it.
Lads, it has been a mad season, right? But one thing that you cannot deny is we have seen some brilliant young talent. Now, what I want from each of you, too many people sit on the fence too often. At the end of this video, I want you to all tell me a name, one name, no sitting on the fence. Who has been the best young player this season in the Premier League?
I'd be a fool if I didn't mention Phil Foden.
Saka has been an unbelievable talent, 18 years old.
But Mason Greenwood in his breakthrough season, I think he's got 16 goals in all competitions, 9 in the Premier League.
Record breaking.
And not many starts.
Christian Pulisic. My issue with bringing him into this conversation is because he's so experienced. So, you know, when we're talking about young players, he is a young player, but he's a very experienced footballer.
Oh, made some good points there, some good players. Rory, in the video right there, there's been an emergence of young talent this season. That's one of, what's been a very weird and long season. There's been an emergence of young players who we've seen coming to the fore. So if you want to check out the rest of that video, make sure you do click the link in the description below. Go and see what else is discussed in it. Leave your comments about who you think is the Young Player of the Year. But players they mentioned there, certainly Phil Foden seems to, even though he's been really good anyway and been on the fringes of it, the right since lockdown, Steve, the Man City fan there, since lockdown, he's been absolutely incredible. In the game against Liverpool, when they beat Liverpool, it could have been 5-0, but for a goal disallowed late on for handball. Foden was exceptional in that one.
Yeah, they've been calling him for years to stop Porting yesterday, haven't they? You know, he's a superb young player. And obviously, I think the people wanted to see him play more minutes in meaningful games. And finally, this season, it's happened for him. And obviously, with David Silva on his way out as well, he's starting to take more of a role. And I hope that continues because he's such a superb footballer in terms of speed of thought, his intelligence on the pitch, and obviously his technique and execution as well. He's just a wonderful player. And yeah, he's come to the fore since the restart. He's been one of the brightest lights this season. Being
clocked in the 10 fastest Premier League players as well. This week I think he was number 9. Right. Run about 23 miles an hour, which is
not as fast as Jags.
Not bad. Not bad. Jags in his heyday. He's an excellent player, Phil Foden. I'm sure we'll see more and more of him because he's a great footballer, isn't he? Lovely balance about him, goes by players.
He's a perfect manager as well, really, isn't he, in terms of Pep Guardiola to get the best out of him.
Yeah, definitely. Another player that was mentioned there, and you have to take your hat off to Mason Greenwood. Absolutely brilliant for Manchester United. They seem to be getting a few good young players through as well. Obviously, they've already got Marcus Rashford, who's an excellent footballer and a fantastic young man as well. But Mason Greenwood is really, I know he was in earlier in the season, he had a little go and then he dropped away. But again, another one since lockdown. Come back and has been in scintillating form, really.
Yeah, he's another one. He's been one that Man United have had high hopes for a couple of years now. Obviously left-footed, playing off the right with the other two young forwards, youngish forwards. Minshall's older than you probably think this season, and I think he's been excellent. He scored 18 goals this season overall in all competitions. Beautiful balance, quick, can beat a man. Obviously, scores those goals through people's legs consistently as well. Now he's going to be a top talent. It bodes well, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah,
sadly,
it certainly does. It certainly does. Robbie mentioned Saka at Arsenal, who's come to the fore as well this season. I'm sure he's got something like 11 assists this season, something like that. Nice left foot on him. Scored a cracking goal at Wolves recently, and Arsenal beat Wolves down there. It was a lovely volley. He's another one, isn't he? Exciting talent.
It's a lot of them, yeah. Another one that Arsenal fans have been talking of for a couple of years. You know, another player with great engine, gets up and down the touchline. He can play left back, left wing. Probably even play on the right hand side if you wanted to. Intelligent footballer as well. Knows good lad off the pitch, I'm told as well. Really great mentality. Always wants to be the best. You know, works hard. Always been someone who's worked hard off the pitch. So yeah, he's been good this season. You'll see probably more of him next season. Obviously, that as Everton fans, we saw how devastating he can be when Arsenal beats us 3-2. He's fantastic in that game. When he came off the bench, really good player.
I think Arteta, he's delighted that he's been able to have someone with that talent in the squad as well. I mean, Rory mentioned there a fella who Chelsea bought in. last January, wasn't it? Now he's been at the club for a while, but Christian Pulisic, and he's been fantastic this season, got better and better as the season went on. Obviously, they signed him in January, played for Dortmund till the end of the season and came in. So the end of his first full and long season, he seems to have got better as well, scored some absolutely brilliant assist up at Anfield recently as well, just showing his ability.
He's an excellent player. When he was at Dortmund, obviously he had a bit of inconsistencies in his game, and I think when he came in, I was on the fence with how good he'd be, but he's just gone to strength to strength in the Premier League. Before he got the injury, I think it was around Christmas he got the injury. He was doing well then. He's come back since. Great close control, speed, the way he moves the ball, great technique, good vision. Excellent execution on his passes. He's a wonderful player. Again, Chelsea have got a few good young players, to be fair, haven't they?
He's the best player the United States have ever produced. Got the potential to be, hasn't he? He's probably skill-wise.
I think they consider him. Obviously Landon Donovan never really did hear about brief appearances for Everton, and I think they hold him. But I think Pulisic, I think he's
technically. I'm talking
technically, him and Gio Reyna, who obviously is doing well now at Dortmund, are probably the two best players they produced. Tyler Adams are close there, I guess. But I think that they're going through a good spell now, producing really good players who can play in Europe consistently as well.
We've seen, obviously, we have, talking about younger players, we've seen other young players at other clubs up and down the country. Obviously, at Everton, you've seen Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Mason Holgate doing well. We've seen other players at other clubs who've come in, and there's eyes on. I'm thinking Brandon Williams at Manchester United, another one who's caught the eye this season. I think even Nico Williams over at Liverpool
as well,
has done well. Curtis Jones, but I mean, for me, going through who has been the best young player. I think personally it has been Trent Alexander-Arnold this season for Liverpool. I think he's been pivotal in them winning the Premier League, scored important goals, free kicks, obviously tons of assists, but a player who's gone up another level this season.
He's just an integral part of the side. I would agree. I think he's got 13 assists this season in the Premier League. I think that's the record, isn't it, for a full-back. He's got wonderful passing technique, switches the ball left to right so well. I think the way I know Robertson's also important, but the way he is like sort of Liverpool's quarterback at times. The way obviously they create a lot of space for him, but his cross is so good. Some of the goal he set up for Firmino against Chelsea, they had a wonderful cross. He's getting better as well. I think his defending's improved since he came into the first team. But I think by far and away this season he's been, not only has he been, I think, the best young player, he's probably the most important young player as well for his side this season.
In terms of that then, and obviously it always pops up, doesn't it? This thing of a golden generation or whatever you want to talk about, And you don't want to build these kids up too much so that there's that much pressure on them. But looking at these young lads and then looking at people like Jadon Sancho, obviously over at Dortmund, who's a fantastic talent, could be in the Premier League if Manchester United get their way. There's 2 or 3 at United who they're hoping to break through as well. There's already young players in that England setup as it is. Obviously Trent Alexander-Arnold, and you've got Joe Gomez is in there as well, people like that. For England going forward, the future looks bright, doesn't it? You're talking about goalkeepers. There's Ramsdale, who's only 20 as well there. So there's a core of good young English players. So
post World Cup 2018, I predicted that I thought England would win the 2022 World Cup because we could see who was on there. Yeah, I know it's crazy. And I'm an England fan, I guess, but it's not I don't love international football, but there's just so much talent, and it's not just talent. Like in the past we've had good players. These are really technically special players like Sancho, like Foden, Rashford, Mason Greenwood, AlexanderArnold. You've got loads of left back.
You're going to have there's Dominic Calvert-Lewin, there's Tammy Abraham, 2 young English strikers who've scored goals this season.
There's a lot of good young English players on the way through. Declan Rice has made strides in this. We'll see if he can continue after, but he's made strides. There's, I think the 2 positions that you made slightly worry over is goalkeeper. We've got there's Pickford, there's Henderson, there's Ramsdale. And then centre-back, you've got Maguire, Holgate, Gomez. Maybe you need to have maybe 1 or 2 more in there, but otherwise, as a collective of talent, I think it's probably one of England's best ever. Maybe not as big a name. Well, maybe they will, because obviously we're only in the start of it. Maybe not big names as the golden generation of Beckham and Ferdinand and people like that. But I think, but the very potential to be a very special. And still got Harry Kane, who's...
And obviously you've got Ben Chilwell, Jack Grealish, James Maddison. It all players who were there, or Harry Kane at the forefront of it all. Who's okay. He'd be experienced, the experienced one, but a great goal scorer.
Well, a lot of I think this is you hate to say it, but the Triple P, the Elite Performance Plan, has been great for the league, the EFL sides. But in terms of producing talent, I don't think the Premier League's ever been more efficient at producing top level talent. Now, obviously, the opportunities. Ian Brewster's been excellent on loan at Swansea this season as well. To be fair, so there's players as well who are ready who will be big. Jude Bellingham's just gone to Tormund.
Jude Bellingham as well, of course.
There's so many good players, and I think. If they get the opportunities, I think that's been the key, the issue in the past they haven't. I think if they get the opportunities, English football will be much better for it going forward.
Going to be interesting, definitely. Obviously with the Euros next year, and then you've just mentioned it, the Qatar, the World Cup, just in there 2022 should be interesting. Just a few stories around football today. Manchester City have had a £41 million bid for Nathan Ake accepted by Bournemouth. A couple of clubs looking after him, Manchester United as well, apparently very interested in taking Nathan Ake, but City have moved first. This follows on from obviously the Ferran Torres bid yesterday and the young fullback they signed as well.
Kabore from KV Mechelen.
Yeah, so I mean Pep trying to get his business done early. Obviously Manchester City still got the Champions League starts up again for them in what is it, about 5 days, 5 or 6 days, something like that. They've got the second leg, haven't they, against Real Madrid. So they've got their eye, obviously, on rebuilding that squad as well. And it does need a little bit of surgery because they've to finish so far behind Liverpool. Yeah. They'll be very disappointed with that. Just on Ferran Torres, quickly, good signing?
I think so. I think he's a very Manchester City style player, very technically good. He played right wing for Valencia. But he can
quick enough?
I think so. I wouldn't say he's marginally quicker, I'd say, than Bernardo Silva. But I think that I think the way City's it's well and good over seven, you Raheem Sterling's, your Aguero's, and you Gabriel, but they also like the players who play in between the lines, find the half space, find a couple of yards in between. I think Ferran Torres is a good sign. I think it'll take him time in terms of physicality to adapt. But I think it'd be a good sign. And then Ake. I like the sign. I know everyone's fussed on Nathan Ake. If he was the first choice centre half, then I wouldn't be as and if it is, I think that's a bit misguided. But if he's going to be used as possibly a left back, possibly a centre back, maybe at times a defensive midfield, depending on who they play, I think for now 41 million's a lot for a utility player, but they need that type of player. They've had Zinchenko and Delph who've played different positions. I think you need that for a squad, especially when you're fighting on all four fronts, as Manchester City always do. So I think having him possibly play left back instead of Benjamin Mendy in big games could be a bit, could be good for them because he's a much better defender. So I think that's good business if he's not the number one centre back with Laporte, because I think it's
the caveat.
It's the caveat.
Chelsea transfer chief Marina Granovskaya accused of espionage in Germany for asking agents for weaknesses in Bayer Leverkusen's negotiating team. Obviously, she's trying to bring down the 90 million price tag for Kai Havertz. Is he worth 90 million?
Talent-wise, yeah, definitely. I think it's hard to say whether he's worth 90 million to a Premier League team, because obviously there's going to be an adaptation. Will he play his favourite position? He's been playing false nine at times under Peter Bosz. He obviously plays 10, as he can play on the wing sometimes. But the talent level alone, if Frank Lampard obviously being a former attacking midfielder himself, it's probably one of the best people you can go to. Yeah, if he's a goal scorer. You need goals. The more goals you have in your team, obviously, the better you are. He's a great player. And in terms of what Granovska's done, it's just like asking coaches whether players have got poor mentalities. It's just finding information. And at the end of the day, in business, everyone tries to find leverage in deals. It's the same thing. I think obviously Leverkusen don't want to bring the price down, so they're not happy.
Kepa is apparently resigned. Arrizabalaga is resigned to never playing for Chelsea again. Willy Caballero apparently will start in the FA Cup final at the weekend. That's not really a surprise, though, is it?
No,
he's not good enough for
Chelsea. I don't know what Chelsea's options are. I think obviously
Pickford. I think Jordan Pickford.
You'd hope so, but you could sell him back to Spain, I guess. I'm guessing Atletico Bilbao loved him when he was there. You know, I suppose you could try and swap him with Unai Simon, who's a very good goalkeeper there, see if that would work. That Bilbao won because they like the cash. Because I think they're probably the most cash rich side in Europe, actually, because they never spend any money, do they? So, but yeah, in terms of Kepa, I think it's a lesson learned for Chelsea that you don't overpay for a goalkeeper just because you have to meet the buyout. You should do your due diligence first on the deal. Don't deal with Bilbao as well. It's very rare, unless they've got a low buyout, it's very rare they let them go for under the buyout.
I mentioned the cup final before then. A self-service trophy presentation, no climbing up the Wembley steps, no royals in the royal box, and Emily Sandé singing Abide With Me from the roof.
From the roof?
Yeah, this is what's in store for Chelsea and Arsenal in the FA Cup final at the weekend. It's going to be strange, FA Cup final obviously, with no fans.
Yeah, first one ever, isn't it? Yeah, probably, yeah.
So, Barcelona boss Quique Setien must win the Champions League to stay in his job.
Good luck with that.
It's going to be difficult, isn't it?
I don't think he's long for that job, unfortunately. No. I think Barcelona really needs to put the house in order.
Everton have got a rival for Diego Dalot, according to this. Barcelona wants the Manchester United fullback, so I think if he's got any choice
there, that would
sense, he'll go to Barcelona.
That would explain Barcelona's entire transfer strategy over the last 10 years. That's just insane.
It is weird, isn't it?
It's such right. The quick on Barca, they've got something called the Innovation Hub, which is a data company within their organisation. That's fantastic, but they don't use it for recruitment. It's crazy. The recruitment's all over the place most of the time.
It is bad. Newcastle takeovers took another twist. Saudi Arabia trying to appeal against the piracy ruling. There's a feeling that if this doesn't get overruled, then the Premier League will veto the takeover, because I don't think they will be able to allow it through if it stands that they're accused of piracy.
No, I can't.
For pirating their own.
No, because the Premier League can't allow that to happen, because then it gives other countries the opportunity to.
Well, you're letting anyone. The Premier League, if they allowed that to go through, they're basically saying to everybody, you can pirate the game.
Buying the EFL team. The EFL let anyone in monthly. That's
we're out to shadow. Buy whoever you want in the EFL.
Go and buy clubs. Buy 3 clubs.
Go and buy Bournemouth. Yeah. Have them back up next year and then just do what you want. Goal machine Erling Haaland pledges his future to Borussia Dortmund. And transfer bloke to Real Madrid and Manchester United says he wants to stay at Dortmund and win the league.
Well, you look at Real Madrid, obviously Luka Jovic went there last season, he can't get a sniff because Karim Benzema's evergreen, isn't he? I think he's wise not to go to those clubs until you're 100% ready and you're going to start. And I think Haaland probably would earn a starting place wherever he goes. But, well, he had the opportunity to go to Manchester United before he went there, didn't he? And he chose, for the sake of his career, to go to Dortmund. I think he should stay at least a year himself.
Tottenham boss Jose Mourinho has moved for Porto star Luis Diaz. What do you know about him?
Good player. Winger, scores goals. Whether I think he's ready for the Premier League, maybe not. But I think, he is a good player. I think he'll definitely play at one of the top 5 leagues. He'll get a good move when he
Probably
leaves.
have to be alone though, because Spurs apparently haven't got any money either. So
yeah.
There you go. Make sure you check out the video. The link is in the description below. See who else the lads are discussing for the Young Player of the Year. And make sure you leave your comments. Why wouldn't you? Big thanks to Andy. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and if you want more videos, join us on Patreon. See you later.